What's up, Birds, Beers, and BS crew? Monday Night Football this coming week. It's time to get this shit show going. Let's get swifty.
Disconnect between the head coach and the GM.
Because
and when you have
Howie's vision.
No, Howie's a freaking moron. And there's a reason why.
Howie,
Jeffrey,
you got a moron.
Are you ever gonna let me freaking talk? God damn, bro.
Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Birds, Beers, and BS here on the AT Sports Network. We are your hosts, Eagle Jeff Warner, alongside my compadre here, Peanut, in the house.
And that's the second week in a row you said that. Go ahead.
Not even gonna say it. But I'll say we have a great show on tap for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. I'll say we'll be talking with our friends from the Vikings Uncensored Podcast, just momentarily discussing this coming Monday night's Monday Night Football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. But first, need to pay our bills. Need to thank our friends at Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant off the Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown. They are available for pickup or delivery at 610-395-2300 or visit vinnyspizzapa.com for the order your food. I'll say they have daily and game day specials, especially a football season here around the corner with games day in and day out. They have all your game day needs at Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant. I'd like to also thank our friends at Stuff to the Grills off the Iroquois Trail in the Old Town Shopping Center in Allentown as well. I would say they have some great daily and weekly specials for you, from subs to their desserts to their sandwiches. I would say, again, mine personally is their Pittsburgh style sandwich with the fries and the coleslaw on top of it. So again, make sure to head over to Stuff to the Grills. They are also available for catering events. So if you have a family function, a work event, whatever it may be, they are available for you. So again, Stuff to the Grills in Allentown. Tell them the Birds, Beers, and BS and the AT Sports crew sent you on over. So like I said before, we have a great show on tap. We'll be discussing about this coming Monday's Eagles-Vikings matchup. I'll say if you have your comments, questions, whatever it may be, make sure you're leaving that in the comments section. We'll try to get to as many as we can, but let's bring our friends along to the show. We'd like to thank our friends Brunswick and Ryno from the Vikings Uncensored Podcast.
Skull.
I'll say you can follow them on Twitter at Vikes Uncensored if you want to check them out. I'll say even though we're Eagles fans, we still love football, still loving seeing other shows, other fans' opinions and their viewpoints. So they do a tremendous job. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
No problem. We appreciate it. And look, I'll say both fan bases here, we can both be happy into this week 2 game. I'll say the Eagles, yeah, they were able to edge out a victory over the Detroit Lions, but a win is a win. But look at your Vikings going into week 1 against Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, a Devontae Smith or Devontae Adams list Aaron Rodgers, but still being able to put on a spanking the way they did, 23-7, beating the Green Bay Packers at home. Yeah. I'll say, what's your guys' initial reaction to that game heading into this matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I guess the big thing, of course, we had a coaching change in the offseason, entire new regime, new general manager, new head coach. We got rid of Mike Zimmer, who we could go on for a couple hours about that, but we won't. But we brought in Kevin O'Connell, who is Sean McVay's offensive coordinator out in Los Angeles with the Rams, winning a Super Bowl last year. And ever since the new regime has taken over, we've heard all the hype about, how just the mood is different around the organization, how the players are enjoying coming to work, which a lot of them allegedly weren't at the end of last year. So it was nice when we rolled into that game 1 that the hype wasn't just hype. It was actually delivering on the promise that they've been telling us ever since the new staff took over. And of course, with Green Bay being our biggest rival, anytime you can lay a spanking on your number one rival, it's a good day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was definitely a great, fresh feeling. It was nice to feel like the game was always ours and we weren't going to give it up, at the end or whatever.
That was a shot at us, wasn't it?
I say we've been there. It almost happened last week for Eagles fans.
We did that way too many times last year in to go ahead only to lose it in the final 2 minutes. I think we had 8 or 9 games decided by
one score,
less than one score, and our record in those games wasn't very good. So,
but I'll say, looking at this game from an Eagles standpoint, after last week's defensive debacle, look, the Eagles this offseason, we thought we did everything right, and I understand it's only one game, but the fact that we were able to give up over 180 yards on the ground to a Detroit Lions team that had 3 wins last season. What do you think the Eagles have to do this coming week to try to control your all-pro running back in Dalvin Cook? Because he's going to be a tough task to handle. He's a huge playmaker that you guys have on your offensive side of the ball. That's going to be difficult for the Eagles to stop, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, Dalvin Cook, of course, in the past, he's been our focal point of the offense under Mike Zimmer because he was that old school Bill Parcells run the ball at all costs kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now against Green Bay, we really didn't see a whole lot out of our run game until the second half because first half it was the Justin Jefferson show. And, once we got out to a 2 or 3 score lead, then we started running the ball, and then both Cook and Alexander Madison did well putting up yards on the ground to kind of work some clock and keep Rodgers off the field, which, you always want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I got Matt quiet.
Oh, I didn't know if
I think
if he was
Detroit's a different team this year too, as well. Honestly, they're no pushover like they usually have been in the past.
They are.
They're gonna sneak up on some people this year, like they snuck up on you guys, I believe. So, you got to kind of give it up for Detroit as well because they almost ran away with that one for sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say DeAndre Swift is a very good running back. We face him twice a year. Now Dalvin Cook is better, but Swift is no slouch.
I was saying, and I just felt like the Eagles' struggles last week, which I'm hoping is a little bit of a different style from an Eagles standpoint, is going to be their defensive scheme. We saw what they were able to do, especially I still feel they're trying to find their identity from a defensive side of the football. Yeah, they brought in some decent pieces with Kaiser White at linebacker. They signed Hassan Reddick. So we were kind of expecting a little bit of a different outcome. We didn't expect this Eagles team that tried to revamp their entire defense to give up 35 points last week against a Jared Goff-led offense, which nothing against Jared Goff, but he hasn't really lived up to the first overall hype that the Rams and a lot of teams thought he was going to be coming out of that draft. So it's a little frustrating and a little concerning from the Eagles standpoint, from the Eagles fan standpoint, the way our defense performed last week, especially going up against a high-powered offense like the Minnesota Vikings. We brought up Dalvin Cook, and you brought up Justin Jefferson. You also have Adam Thielen there. So I'll say it's going to be a lot for the Philadelphia Eagles defense to handle, and from the Eagles standpoint, we're just hoping that Jonathan Gannon tries to fix those woes and get some type of identity from the defense side of the ball, because last week, we gave 180 yards, but a lot of that was when we had Jordan Davis out of the game. Jordan Davis, when he was in the game, he was limited, I think, like 22 snaps. He only gave up 2 yards. We only gave up 2 yards a carry roughly when he was in there on those early downs. And then the later downs when he wasn't in there, they were giving up over 10 yards a carry. So I'm just hoping Jonathan Gannon comes up with a game plan from our side standpoint. And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles can control that offense. Yes, we have the 2 cornerbacks with Bradbury and Darius Slay, but Justin Jefferson, he still went off last week. 180 yards,
187 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 catches, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's developing
almost 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Wow. And we got Jalen Rieger, too. Don't forget about him, guys.
I was going to bring him up, too. I was waiting for that moment. Like, is this a revenge game for you guys?
I swear, Jalen Rieger scores a touchdown in this game, Philadelphia will be burning down by halftime.
Well, at least as it sits right now, we're using Rieger strictly as a punt returner. We haven't used him on offense yet, so because
he's got a lot to pick up on offense as far as.
And of course, like you mentioned, we have not only Justin Jefferson, we have Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne, who developed into a very good number 3 wide receiver last year in his own right. So.
And I'll say he's a guy, your third wide receiver. He could be somewhat the X factor in this game. Vontae Maddox last week as a nickel corner in the slot. He was a guy that last year played pretty well. He struggled last week. So from a Viking standpoint, he could be that little bit of a under the radar type of guy that could get a lot of catches or a lot of looks in this coming week against our secondary. So.
And that nickel corner of yours could see some time cover. I mean, you guys run a lot of man over there on defense, or do you guys run a lot of zone?
I'll say it's a little bit of a mix right now. I feel we're going to be seeing a lot of man-to-man just because Gannon's trying to bring a lot more pressure. We're trying to find a way to get after the quarterback, which is something that the Eagles did not do well last year because we didn't have the people in place to run the defense efficiently. So I think this year they're going to go through some rough patches, but you saw early in that game, they were doing a lot of zone blitzes and a lot of different man type blitzes with single high safety. So there was a lot of different schemes that they were running last week, which I felt kind of they went away from it too early. I feel just because they weren't hitting home, they weren't getting the golf early on. That Gannon was like, "Look, I don't want to continue to get burned because we were horrible on third down last week. We were like 9 of 14, and the Detroit Lions just kept on moving up and down the football field. If it wasn't for a few careless mistakes on the Lions' part, we're probably talking about an Eagles loss right now."
Yeah, facts.
Yeah. Last week, Kevin O'Connell did a hell of a good job scheming Jefferson wide open. You had times where linebackers were lining up on Jefferson, trying to cover him, and that's just not going to work, man.
Preston Smith actually got stuck covering him on one play, and that didn't work out so well.
So, I mean, the coach is putting Jefferson in position to just like Cup got used last year. Kevin O'Connell's putting Jefferson in position where he's going to win a lot of those one-on-ones.
Yeah, he's going to win a one-on-one versus anybody at this point. Jefferson's an elite wide receiver. So, yeah, I see that point. My question to you guys is from a Minnesota standpoint, when you seen the Eagles play the Detroit Lions last week, were you guys salivating at the potential of what your offense could do to our defense, or are you guys still reserved in that it was just a week one performance? Let's see what's going to happen.
To a point, and to be fair, when you guys played, it was before we played, so we hadn't got to see the full force of what our offense, was able to perform against Green Bay.
But after watching that game, were you like, oh boy?
Well, I mean, it's a road game. It's a primetime Monday night game. We don't tend to fare too well against it. I think I saw a little tidbit this week that the last time we won a Monday night game that was not against the Chicago Bears was 2008, I believe.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The thing that worries me about this game is how Donatel, our defensive coordinator, is going to scheme against Jalen Hurts. We don't know how our defense. I mean, this whole defensive scheme is completely different here in Minnesota. We went from running a 4-3, now we're running a 3-4. This past weekend, it looked fantastic. Now, as far as game planning against a quarterback that has the ability to get up and go, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of schemes that Donatel draws up for this coming week. And we were able to get to the quarterback, with 4 rushers quite often without having to send the blitz. So
yeah, I say because you guys possibly might have the 2 best pass rushing tandem in the all NFL with Daniel Hunter and Zadarius Smith. So definitely 2 good edge rushers that you guys have there with the Minnesota Vikings to get after the quarterback. It's got to come down, like you said, from a defensive standpoint for the Vikings. is how to control and maintain Jalen Hurts. Because last week, look, Aaron Glenn, I have to give him some props. He was aggressive. He said he wasn't going to let Jalen Hurts be comfortable in the pocket. And I'll say early on he was having success, but ultimately the in-game adjustments by Sheikin and Sirianni ended up being the difference maker. The fact that they were able to find ways, and Jalen Hurts with the game plan to design him with the short passing game or whatever it may be, for him go through his progressions and then run off. I'll say everyone's just looking at the stat line last week that's saying Jalen Hurts just hasn't progressed as a quarterback because he ran 17 times. If you look at a lot of that game tape, he's a little bit of a different quarterback than he was last year. He wasn't a quarterback. He's not a quarterback, at least in week 1, that was just darting off because his first read wasn't there. It's going to be interesting to see, because we saw last week. I just want to see a little bit more from Jalen Hurts, from trying to get more guys involved. The fact that A.J. Brown was basically the only wide receiver to have a catch last week is a little bit concerning. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jalen Hurts can get the rest of his playmakers involved in this offense. I would say, Dallas Goedert has his catches, and we were able to run the ball.
Smith not have the catch. I mean, that's what's intriguing to me.
Yeah, 2 or 3 targets he had the entire game. I didn't get the chance to look at the all 22 film. I don't know if he wasn't getting open or just wasn't the right read or what might be. But I'll say he from hearing him this past week, he was in some good spirits. He was saying, like, look, this week it's AJ's week. Next week it might be my week. So I don't feel, and that's a type of a good attitude you want from your young wide receiver. We don't want a T.O. or a Chad Johnson tantrum that he's not getting the football. So it's definitely promising. And I'll say, look, if you guys focus on A.J. Brown and try to find a way to shut him out, it could be Devontae's day or Quez Watkins' day. So I'm very confident in our wide receiving core with the weapons that we have, especially with A.J. Brown, because he just opened so many things up offensively.
Hell of a receiver, absolutely.
Yeah. No, one thing, I guess, when we're on offense, the biggest concern I see is you got Fletcher Cox and Davis coming, on the line there. Our weak link on the offensive line is our center. And then we've got a rookie starting at right guard who was excellent in run blocking last week, but pretty piss poor in pass protection. So that pressure up the middle, because as we all know, Kirk Cousins is not a mobile quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. So if they're collapsing that pocket, it could make stuff a little difficult for him. Now, to be fair, last week with Frank Clark and those quality rushers that Green Bay has, Cousins was doing a lot more moving around within the pocket than he has in years past. So
he was actually the number 1 rated quarterback while under pressure this past weekend.
Yeah. I'll say Kirk Cousins looked very effective and efficient last week. 23 of 32, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns. Only sacked once with a quarterback rating of 118.9. Granted, over 184 of those yards went to Justin Jefferson. But look, I'll say Kirk Cousins, I'll say he's one of those hot and cold quarterbacks. If we can find a way to get pressure on him from a Eagles defensive standpoint, it kind of, I feel, in my opinion, favors us in that direction. But the problem is getting to the quarterback, hitting home. That's one thing that we didn't do last week, especially since we have the highest paid starting front four in all the National Football League, not just in the league, but I think in history. Wow. And it was kind of disappointing last week. Like, you brought Fletcher Cox. We didn't even hear his name on the broadcast. He didn't make a tackle. I don't really feel he made a pressure. I just kind of feel he was non-existent, and it was going into last year where he's becoming a household name by reputation, and we're not seeing the results on that field. And yeah, I'd say, yeah, of course you're wearing his jersey. But look, Fletcher Cox, I would say I'm hoping he can rebound and figure things out. I just don't know if he's just declining, deteriorating, whatever it may be. It'll be one thing the Eagles
he's another year older too, so I mean that doesn't help it. It's not going in his favor either.
Oh, absolutely. The one thing that the Eagles which took a little bit of a hit this week is the one thing that we talk about in Philadelphia is our depth at the defensive line, which the Eagles have always had a great depth at the front four, which we lost Derek Barnett, former first-round pick, this week for the season. So there's another piece that we're going to be missing this coming Monday along our defensive front. But we have to find a way to get after the quarterback. Absolutely. And I would say the Vikings, I understand you guys have issues on that interior line, but you guys have a decent left tackles there with what you guys have, Darrisaw and who's the other guy you guys?
Brian O'Neill over on the right side.
Yeah, so I would say you guys are. I would say you might have your issues, but I would say you guys still have a decent offensive line. I feel that the Eagles might struggle again. So it's going to come down to Jonathan Gannon to finally try to design some blitzes and different schemes to get after Kirk Cousins and rattle him a little bit, because when we saw the NFC Championship game a few years back.
Oh, they remember that.
I'll say when we got pressure on Kirk Cousins, he made some mistakes as Patrick.
That wasn't Cousins.
That was Case Keenum.
And that's why we got Kirk Cousins, because after that game, they figured Keenum wasn't good enough, so he went out and got Cousins instead.
Well, I sound like a fucking moron.
What's the old saying? It's better to keep your mouth shut and have people think you're an idiot than to open your mouth and actually confirm it.
For some reason, I thought it was that season, but yeah, it was the year after.
I think the only time we played you guys with Kirk Cousins was that game where I forget which player, one of your linebackers, went out and basically said Kirk was hot garbage, and he went out and we beat you 38-7.
Yeah, say Kirk Cousins, he's a killer. He's a killer for against the Philadelphia Eagles when he was in Washington. That game there, so
if you give Kirk Cousins some time, though, he'll pick you apart. He's one of those.
He's got the arm talent to do it. Absolutely.
The way you beat him is by getting in his face, pressuring him, and that's what I'm afraid of with this game. Well, based off of only one game, obviously, but based off of what I saw, if we can't get in his face, this guy's going to pick us apart. And now he's got Jefferson and Rager. Oh, my God.
The question with Kirk has always been his willingness to take it and chuck it down the field. This last weekend, it was a Kirk Cousins I haven't seen in Minnesota. It was the Kirk Cousins I had hoped to see when he came here in 2018. This is a different quarterback, guys.
Yeah. I agree with that one, and I think Kirk Cousins is actually a really I don't want to say elite yet, but if given the opportunity with weapons around him, I think he could be one of those elite quarterbacks. I really do.
And I'll say similar to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Minnesota Vikings, they could be that sleeper team in the NFC. You saw them able to handle the Green Bay Packers.
They spanked them.
Yeah, last week. I'll say they have a chance to go 2-0 and take a little bit of command and. In the NFC a bit. So it's going to come down to Kirk Cousins' play, in my opinion, from the Minnesota Vikings standpoint, that they have the playmakers, they have a decent defense. It comes down to the quarterback. And I'll say if Kirk Cousins plays the level that he did last week, you guys might be talking about a late playoff run.
Oh, I hope
that's what we're hoping for. But
in my opinion, and the game is going to come down to which coach, obviously calls the best plays.
Facts.
And which team executes the best. It's really going to be a chess match this week, fellas. Honestly, I believe so.
And I think, like we kind of talked about earlier, it very well could come down to the running games. Now, like with us last week, we weren't giving up much right up the middle, but it was the runs around the edges, which is where Jalen Hurts concerns us, getting outside the pocket and taking off and running.
Yeah. Well, not only Jalen, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sanders as well, yeah.
I was gonna say Sanders is outside, like he bounces out too. So I see what you're saying. That makes perfect sense. I agree with you on that. Back to you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
As far as Hurts goes, I think we're going to have somebody spying on him, whether it's one of the linebackers, whether it's one of our Harrison Smith or Cam Bynum or rookie Lewis Cine is getting his first action this week. So, because we've always had trouble with mobile quarterbacks in the past. Now, again, it's a different regime, different scheme, everything else, but it's still
Hicks or Kendricks to be spying this week, honestly.
Yeah. But I'll say it's definitely, I agree with you, man. I'll say coaching and also which team is more disciplined. Because the one thing the Eagles lacked last week was a lot of discipline, especially on the defense side of the ball. The fact that we're missing tackles left and right. And to have an elusive running back like you guys do with Dalvin Cook, and you still have Madison in there, like you brought before, the run game is going to play a pivotal part in this game. from both sides of the team. The Eagles are traditionally a team under Sirianni that likes running the football. They love controlling the pace of the game, running that clock as much as they can. And I'll say with the tandems that we have Hurts, we have Sanders. I think Boston Scott and what's his name even had touchdowns last week.
I think all 4 of our running backs had touchdowns.
Yeah, all 4 of our running backs.
Wow.
So three.
I'm sorry.
3 and then Hurts.
Hurts. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right, well, you might as well consider him an extra running back, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's basically a running back that throws.
I say might as well. So I'll say with the run game keeping your defense honest, it's going to open things up offensively, especially in the passing game for us. So it's definitely, like you said before, it's going to be a chess match. This is going to be a game that I'm very concerned from the Eagles' standpoint of us winning this football game. I'm going to openly say, as an Eagles fan, even though it's at home, Monday Night Football, we're going to have the crowd behind them. It's going to be a raucous crowd. I'm not too confident that we're going to come out on top. Just from the performance from last week, I said going into this season that the Eagles were going to struggle. The Eagles are going to have their rust going into the season, and we saw it early on last week, and I'm hoping that doesn't transpire into week 2 against the Vikings, because you guys have a lot of firepower on both sides of the football, and you guys are playing extremely well at the moment, even though it's only week 1. No one expected you guys to blow out Aaron Rodgers the way you guys did.
Absolutely. And mind you, I don't mean to cut anyone off. What was that thing you just drank out of? That was the most Minnesota thing I've ever seen in my life. What is that?
It's an actual horn made into a mug.
See?
Oh, that's pretty dope.
I can't show you the bottom because I'll spill all over myself, but it's a place called Viking Culture. They sell them online.
Finish the interview up like, boom. That is the most Minnesota shit I ever seen.
I didn't even notice that.
I noticed it immediately. I was like, what is that? I'm sorry.
No, that's
so
it's on there for the a lot of times for the
that
effect,
is a good. See, I'm you know what? Next week I'm gonna drink my beer out of Eagle wing somehow. I'm gonna find some wing, fold that shit up, have Peter all over my ass. They're gonna be like, no, man. But my question, like, you see, this is the kind of show we do here, guys.
Hey,
like
it's a lot like our show, so we're sitting right into it.
Show. But when you see your team going into week 2 versus like a Philadelphia Eagles team that honestly has a lot of high hopes, a lot of people are saying this could be a playoff bound team. What is from your standpoint? What is the Philadelphia Eagles as an opponent as an opponent to you guys? I'm sorry, that took a lot to get out.
I respect you guys a lot. I think you guys have the talent there to be a playoff team. I have you guys pegged as a playoff team. It's gonna be a good game on Monday.
Facts.
Honestly. You guys have the tools to beat some teams for sure.
And
hopefully not yours though, right? Well, hopefully
Hopefully not ours.
But looking at your division too, with the
injury to Dak,
and then the injuries to Dak Prescott as per normal. I mean, that makes you guys' road to the playoffs a little easier too.
Well, we're hoping. Look, I'll say last week, I understand it's only week 1, but Carson Wentz with 4 touchdowns last week.
Oh,
I'll say who knows what Ron Rivera can do with the defense that he has, and now that they finally have a quarterback and they have some playmakers for him, they could be a team, and then a team that could be competing for the division. And then the Giants, it was against a banged up Titans team, but Saquon Barkley, he might be fully back from his ACL tear, so he's. Those are definitely 2 teams, especially within our division, similar to yours. It doesn't matter how bad or how good someone is. When we have those division matchups, those division games, we're fighting to the depth. We're fighting to the end. Anyone can come out on top. The records are basically thrown out the window. So I'm hoping you're correct. I'm hoping you're right. Like with the injury to Dak, and the other 2 teams aren't going to play as well as we saw last week, but anything can happen. This is a division where a lot of the time where the worst goes to first, or we haven't had a repeat champion in the division since the Eagles did it in their early 2000s.
That's facts.
Hurts is going to have to take a step forward as a passer, in my opinion, to get there. Yeah,
and like Lance was saying, I mean, nothing but respect for you guys. I mean, this was honestly when we did our season preview at the beginning of the year, I pegged this as a loss right away. Now, after seeing what I saw last weekend, I feel better about our chances this week. But not just with you guys, but more from our standpoint, that
you can say this
because we've been fed the hope and the hype and everything else for years,
year after year
and
after year.
It always tends to never
it's
work
nice
out.
to see something that's different than what you're normally seeing.
Yeah,
right. So when they been pushing this for 2 months and then to come out and actually do what they said they planned on doing, felt good from our standpoint. But as far as you guys go, honestly, I don't expect this to be the only time we meet this year.
Facts.
I hope not.
Facts. I'll say way this at the NFC, it's transpiring into the teams that we expected to be good aren't good, or it's still only week one. A lot of things can happen. Like look at the LA Rams. No one expected I'll say
like
Stafford. Granted, he was injured going into that game. No one expected him to throw 3 interceptions after coming off that Super Bowl win. So
Josh Allen too.
Well,
he didn't raise his hand this time.
That's another thing on the NFC side. It's a little more wide open because you don't have Josh Allen, you don't have Patrick Mahomes, you don't have
Justin Herbert.
I'll say the AFC, basically the AFC West. Yeah.
I will take any one of those quarterbacks.
I'll say Lamar Jackson. Look, the AFC is stacked, and as a football fan, it's exciting to watch. We're seeing the new era and the change of the regime when it comes to the quarterback position. I'll say I don't know how old you guys are, but me being 31, I loved watching Brady and Breeze and Peyton Manning and all these guys, McNabb. And I'll say the fact that we're seeing the new regime of the quarterback, it's exciting as a football fan. It's going to be exciting to see. It's got a lot of good football with Mahomes, Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, all those guys. So I just wish the NFC, even though as an Eagles fan, I want my team to be the better team. In the NFC, you kind of wish they would spread the wealth a little bit when it comes to the quarterback play.
At least to us.
But like you're mentioning, with all these guys, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Montana and Elway and Marino and
40-year-old.
Sorry,
40-year-old.
Sorry, 40, I didn't want to throw
47.
there.
He's even older than I am.
But I can remember, I was old enough to be able to understand football and follow it when those guys, came to be back in '83. So
shit. Cunningham back in the day for the Eagles, and then for the Vikings in '98.
Randall Cunningham as well. Yeah,
Cunningham, baby. Yeah. Oh, you know what, Cunningham? You
guys should have went to that freaking Super Bowl.
I agree.
Yeah, we should have.
Yeah, you had Cunningham, you had Moss,
Carter,
and all Cunningham had to do was throw 80 yards down the field.
Toss it up and he'll go get it.
Yeah, he'll get it. Yeah, that must have
him being Randy Moss.
That must have been heartbreaking to have two of the, Hall of Fame wide receivers and then have this team. Yeah, you know what? It's not that bad for us. I mean,
the story of our franchise is fucking heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah, it is. We've lost 4 Super Bowls. We've had
it's not easy.
The '98 game. We had the 09 game with when Favre and the Bounty Gate thing down in New Orleans. We had 2017 against you guys. We had
pissed me off.
1987 when Darren Nelson drops the ball at the goal line and Washington beats us and goes to the Super Bowl,
Oh shit!
Every fucking time, something's got to happen. Some crazy other godly fucking thing has got to happen to make us lose when it matters the most.
Yeah, you know what? If we don't get there, I'm rooting for you guys.
I feel for you. Look, remember we're the same team that lost the NFC Championship game at home for 3 straight years.
We're like the Buffalo Bills of playoffs.
Yeah. So we totally feel your pain. I would say
the 4th and 26 play that McNabb wasn't he the one that completed that shit?
Yeah, McNabb, Freddie Mitchell.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
that's never happened for us.
The playoffs in 2004 year we went to the Super Bowl when we hosted you guys. Yeah. Everything just went right in our lap. I'd say I don't know you guys remember
the fucking moonwalk on our asses.
Well, yeah, that and when LJ Smith literally got tackled at the goal line, fumbled it, and went directly into Freddie Mitchell's hands in the back of the end zone.
Little bitch.
That's the kind of thing that we're used to seeing. So, we're kind of, it's almost the point where we're numb from the heartbreak, but
Numb from the
We're waiting for the wheels to fall off all the time.
yeah, it's the running or joke or whatever around here is always, when I die, I want the Vikings to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm honestly surprised I saw a Super Bowl. I'll say I probably won't see another one the rest of my life. So
probably not.
I just want to see one. I was 2 years old the last time the Vikings made the Super Bowl, and of course we lost those 4 in the 70s. But
Jesus. Well, I'll say, gentlemen. I'll say, gentlemen, appreciate you guys joining the program. Again, Ryno and Brunswick from the Vikings Uncensored Podcast. Before we get out of here, I want to get your guys' game predictions. Any final thoughts on for Monday's game?
You ahead, Lance.
That's the best one. It's the best team that's prepared. The one that comes there, ready to win. And whoever scores the most points is going to win the game. Write that down.
Yo, we're having you.
I love you guys. Just to talk football. It doesn't have to be Vikings Eagles. We'll just talk football for an hour.
Hey, why not? Hey, we're always up for that kind of stuff. So
I'm going Vikings though. Vikings by 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 1-score game either way. Like I said, I've been hemming and hawing. I originally picked this as a loss. I'm feeling better about our chances. I'll give us a 4-point win just because we're the Vikings representing on an Eagles podcast. I have to pick the Vikings. So
you better, otherwise you're the
yeah.
one freaking out of a hole.
Quit, bitch.
It'll kill our viewership if I don't. So yeah, Vikings by 4.
Out of a horn. You better.
Well, yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I agree. I agree with him. I'm gonna say not agree with him, but it's opposite day. So I'm gonna say the Eagles win by 3. It's gonna be a tight score. I'm gonna say 21-24. It's going to be last-minute field goal that's going to win this game. It's going to be a rock'em sock'em. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be nasty, and it's going to be fun.
It better be fun and nasty.
It better be fun because we're going to be there. Hey, mind you, Birds, Beers, and Bullshit will be there. I'm going to be interviewing people in the parking lot. If you're not stumbling over, you're not getting on.
Drunk Peanut talking to the public.
If you're not throwing up in the bleachers, you will not get on. I'm just letting y'all know right now. Jesus. That's what I'm doing. I'm serious.
Jesus.
You guys watch next week. I'm going to have the funniest people. It's like, Arthur Moore. That's what I'm doing.
But look, I agree with all what you guys said. Look, these are 2 evenly matched football teams coming off big wins in week 1. And ultimately, I feel it's going to come down to the quarterback play. Both quarterbacks played extremely well last week. Are playing at very high levels. But after the way our defense played last year and not being able to get after the quarterback, and I'll say the offensive firepower you guys have with Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin Cook, I feel the Eagles are going to be losing this one, unfortunately, 27-23.
Yo, what the? They went for their team.
I'm a realist. I don't choose my team just because it's my team. I look at X's and O's and go with my gut feeling. Ultimately, yeah, I want the Eagles to win this football game, but I don't have history isn't on their side. This is the Eagles team that has lost in week 2 the last 5 straight seasons. So even their Super Bowl year, they lost to Kansas City and the Chiefs and Andy Reid when he came back to Philadelphia.
One thing that we can all agree on is that it's going to be a good game.
Absolutely. I'll say, gentlemen, thank you again for joining Birds, Beers, and BS. Again, Ryno and Brunswick, you can catch them at the Vikings Uncensored Podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Vikes Uncensored. You can catch their shows every Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Time.
I'm tuning in.
Central Time on our YouTube channel, which just search for Vikings Uncensored, and you'll find us on YouTube.
So 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching this in the Eastern Time Zone, make sure to check them out. Even though it's not an Eagles podcast, they do a tremendous job and tremendous work.
I'm either gonna troll them or I'm gonna apologize.
We do a live chat during our Friday premiere of the show. So the show's not live, but we're there talking back and forth with people. So drop on in if you guys want and say hi.
Remember me, Peanut. You can't forget my name, Peanut.
All right,
Puerto Rican guy.
We got you.
This is his name. So.
That's me right there.
Yeah, right there. He's commenting on the show, talking similar to what you guys do. But again, thank you, gentlemen. I'll say best of luck on Monday, and we say go Birds. I know you guys.
They say Skull.
By the way, what does that even stand for?
That's a good
Skål is
question.
it's an Icelandic chant, but it's basically it goes back to the Norse, back in the days of the actual Vikings, where they would, after the battle was over, they would drink from the skulls of the vanquished. So skull translates to skull.
I just remember the NFC Championship game. Your fan base tried to take over our stadium, and it did not work well.
Oh, wait. Before the show's over, did you guys regret running up to the art museum that year? Because
I don't know if they want.
Well, I mean, you as a fan base, was that one of those like, no, don't do that? Or were you guys like, yeah, you know what? We're going in there.
Put your jersey on Rocky.
Yeah, you guys put your jersey on Rocky, man.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
I mean, it's funny, but like I
funny.
said, being Vikings fans, I don't like to tempt fate any more than we absolutely have to.
Yeah.
So,
like, if my fan base would have done that, I was like, no, don't do that. You don't walk up to a Viking and take his horns off and drink beer out.
That's fucked up for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we are Vikings. We walk in, we fuck shit up, and then leave.
That's facts. That's facts. Y'all came to Philly. That's the worst place to go to do that, and y'all guys walked in there with no problems.
Gotta give him credit.
I salute you guys.
But again, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys down the road.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys. Again, that is Ryno and Brunswick from the Vikings Uncensored Podcast. I'll say we appreciate them joining the program. And again, we enjoy you joining the program here on the Birds, Beers, and BS on the AT Sports Network. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeff Warner NFL. Follow him on Twitter, even though he doesn't fucking tweet at Party Doll Day 1. Because I check your fucking account every once in a while.
I got like 20 accounts. I'm like God sometimes. I'm like just watching and tweeting. Nah, I don't do any of that shit.
Yeah, you don't do shit.
I got a job. Jeffrey's unemployed. It's easy for him. I'm sorry.
Pretty fucking much. I'll say we will be back Tuesday evening. We will be live. You can follow for live updates from Lincoln Financial Field on all our social media accounts. Pina and myself will be down there. Maybe we'll do some Facebook Lives, talk to people in the parking lot, talk to some fans, get their insight, get their thoughts on the game and the season. So, again, the only way to catch all our content is by following, liking, subscribing all our social media platforms from Facebook to Twitter, to Instagram, to YouTube. We appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Laura, for pretty much watching the entire show. For the rest of you that didn't fucking watch, go fuck yourselves and start fucking getting the notification button. Make sure you're hitting the notification button whenever our show goes live on our network. You know it. You can tune in and watch along and chime in. And
Jenna.
And yeah, fuck you, Jenna. No, I can't give her shit. She's upstairs
She's
upstairs taking care of my kid while I'm fucking on a goddamn podcast. Well, the show might have sucked, but I hope we entertained you at least if you watch this through us this fucking long. So we'll be back on Tuesday, and then next week we'll be talking about the Eagles Commanders. Carson Wentz faces his former team next Thursday night. I'm going to try to get a guest. Maybe we'll have another shit show of a show with a guest here talking some Eagles Commanders, and we will also be live at FedEx Field for that game as well, because we have a fucking amazing wives that don't care if we do fucking shit.
Whoa. Speak for yourself, Mom.
Okay, not that they don't care, but they're allowing us to go is what I'm saying.
You know what? Yes, that's facts. And we will, Birds, Beers, and Bullshit will be there next week, Monday. Not next week. Yeah, I guess it is next week because it's Sunday, Monday. Yeah. We'll be there next week. And then the following
in like 9
week,
days.
The following week, AAT Birds, AAT All Authentic Talk is going to be at Washington, just fucking shit up.
Getting drunk and partying with our boys at Philly Sports Trips.
Word.
So, again, thank you for everyone for tuning in tonight's program. Let's pay some bills and thank our sponsors real quick. Like to thank our friends at Stuff to the Grills in the Old Town Shopping Center off the Iroquois Trail in Allentown. Again, they are open for catering events. You can visit them at stufftothegrills.com to check out their menu and daily and weekly specials, from their sandwiches to their sides to their desserts. It is all incredible food. So again, make sure you check them out and tell them that Birds, Beers, and BS and AAT Sports Network crew sent you on over. Yes. If you live in the Lehigh Valley, if not, if you know someone that lives in Lehigh Valley, suggest it to them. I'll say, or come down for the day, hang out with them and go for lunch, go for dinner, whatever it may be. I'll say they have tremendous food at Stuff to the Grills.
Yup, that shit's bomb.
And then we'd like to thank our friends also in the Old Town Shopping Center off of Iroquois Trail, Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant. They are available for takeout or delivery at 610-395-2300. Or visiting vinnyspizzapa.com. And also if you want to support us somehow, you want to buy our fucking swag, buy our gear. I'll say you want to buy our shitty ass design shirts.
Hold on. Shitty ass designs. It is not shitty. It's the shit. It's the shitty.
Yeah, whatever you want to say.
The smitty. You hold on. We actually have dope ass designs, man. Go on there.
We do.
Get that shit. That shit is dope. Rock that shit. Go to games. Go to your cousin's house. Rocking that Birds, Beers, and bullshit. Rocking that.
Laura, I said you're a fucking amazing wife. I never said you weren't.
Laura, that's my wife. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your wife.
Yo, buy that shit, man. Support the movement because it's gonna get too late. Sooner or later, I'm just gonna start buying subscribers.
Dude, you're going into a shit show at home. She's done with both of us today.
I love you, baby. Listen, thank you very much for watching, subscribing, share with a friend. If there's a football fan that's in your family that needs something to watch that's basically not what everything else is, tell them to tune into us because we are literally nothing.
And it's free. You fuckers pay for Sirius and Spotify and all this other fucking bullshit.
Right?
You want to be entertained? Watch this fucking shit show. We are free on the AAT Sports Network on our YouTube page. Literally, hit a button that says subscribe. Click. Yeah. It's free. Help support us by subscribing, sending to a friend, sending to a family member, whoever it may be. Now we're just fucking rambling. Let's get this fucking shit show going.
You know what?
And look, follow, like, subscribe, and every fucking shit show that we do here on Birds, Beers, and BS.
Yeah.
Drink them if you fucking got them.
Drink them if you got them. Wubba lubba